Welcome to Meeples on Meeples, episode 95. I'm Adam.
And I'm Brian.
As usual, before we get into our game of the week this week, we want to invite you over to our YouTube channel. Search Meeples on Meeples. You can subscribe and follow along with our videos, as well as meeplesonmeeples.com, our website. Search for us on Facebook and Twitter as well. You can see what we've been posting and what we've been playing.
This week's game of the week is Bob Ross's The Art of Chill. It's a painting game based on the famous Bob Ross show from the 80s and 90s. And the first thing you need to do is set up the chill meter board where you put the chill cards here. You'll notice this is the score tracker, so each player will have a cube of their color. Then you have the technique cards, and you flip 4 up at random face up. And you have the art supply cards, and you have 4 randomly flip face up. Each player will start with 3 cards in their hand. They'll have their own player board here. And then you'll put one of Bob Ross's paintings in the easel with the little Bob Ross on the scoring, or on the time tracker rather. On your turn, you roll the Bob Ross die first. There are 3 Bob Ross heads on it. If you roll the Bob Ross head, you flip over a chill card, and you resolve it right away. This one says, when this card is revealed, all players may draw art supply cards from the top of the deck. So everybody would get to draw a free card. There are some that say Bob Ross doesn't move this round, some that say you can play a free paint to your board, etc. And then after you flip the chill card, you move Bob down. Those are the 2 things that happen when you roll the Bob Ross face. The next side is you might roll this, which means you get to draw a card, an art supply card, off the top of the deck for free before you take any of your 3 assigned actions. Then there's the palette. You can play one of your art supply cards to your palette for free. And that comes out of your hand. And lastly, you could roll the hand, in which case the hand lets you take 4 actions instead of 3 actions. So once you've rolled the die and either resolve Bob Ross or resolve the free action, you have 3 actions you can do, but you have a lot of choices there. Okay, the actions you can take is you can draw a card, an art supply card from the top of the deck, one of the face up. It costs 1 action normally to draw a card, but if you want a wild that's face up, it costs 2, because this can be any color you want, and that can be a real game changer. So that's 1 action, possibly 2 of your 3 actions. Another action you can do is you can cash in 2 of the same card from your hand to get what they call a technique card. If I have 2 cadmium oranges, I can discard these. And if this is face up, I can take the cadmium orange. I get 2 victory points for that. So I would move up 1, 2 victory points. And now anytime I paint something or complete a part of the painting that uses cadmium orange, I get another bonus point. So this is something that changes my gameplay for the rest of the game. So there's drawing art supplies, there's getting techniques, and by the way, you always refill an empty spot when you've created it. I can also, play cards to from my hand onto my board here. For instance, if you can see over here, let's say I want to paint the happy trees. I need orange, green, red. So I could play a green here. That's an action. I could play a red here. That'd be another action. And then I'll be ready to do another option. Another option is when you have the paints you need on your palette and you have the brush in your hand that you need to complete one of the options on the painting, one of the features of the painting as they call it, you can use an action of your 3 to complete that part. So as you can see, for happy trees, orange, green, red. Well, I have orange, green, red, and I need this brush right here, which I can flip the blue in my hand over and play and say I'm going to spend an action to complete happy little trees. Now, once you complete it, here's how scoring works. You get 1 point for each paint. So that takes 3 paints. I get 1, 2, 3 paints. Also, since I completed happy little trees before anybody else has, I take one of my chits. I cover up the +2. The first person gets 2 bonus points. The second player completes it, gets 1 bonus point, and third and fourth players will get 0 bonus points. So I scored my 3, I scored 2 more, and if there are any other bonus points along the bottom, I would get bonus points if I finish it before Bob Ross. Because what's going to happen is Bob Ross is going to keep moving down the tracker every time one of those Bob Ross heads is rolled. And so if you finish these mountains before he gets there, you get 2 more bonus points on top of the 4 for the paintings and any other bonuses you might get. Once he hits that, you can't get the +2. You can still get any bonuses off the board and you'll still score the 4 points. You just lose out on the opportunity for beating Bob Ross. He's like an extra player who's kind of moving down. You're kind of racing against him. The little wondrous water here is worth +1 until he passes it. And then if he gets to the happy trees at the end, a new painting comes out. See, that you don't finish with just one painting. As soon as one player has completed all 3 features, or Bob Ross reaches the end of the track, this goes away. A new painting comes out. You slide it into the easel like so. Hopefully without knocking Bob Ross off. And then you continue play. But that's pretty much the gist of it. You're going to be playing, you're going to be drawing cards, playing cards, mixing them, hopefully getting the right things you need, getting the brush you need, and then clearing your board and completing that. Now there's one other option, 2 other options that you can use on your turn that I forgot to mention before. If you do not have the color you need here, like let's say I desperately need blue to complete my Wondrous Water in my hand, I can spend 1 action to clear all 4 and flip 4 cards out. Hey, there's the blue I need. So sometimes you can just wipe the slate clean, and that might be your best option to do. And then finally, you can clear your palette. Let's say I had been preparing to complete something on that last painting, and now somebody finished the painting before I had a chance, and they brought this in. Well, I have an orange and blue mixed together, but I don't have any features on this that need orange and blue, and I need to clear my palette off. For 1 action, you can clear 1/2 of your board. You can just say, I'm going to use one of my 3 actions to wipe this clean. They're gone. I wasted them, but at least I have more room to play. Because once cards are played on here, they're considered mixed together. If I need this green for something else, I can't separate it from these 2 colors because it's already been played next to them on this side of the board. But that pretty much covers how you play Bob Ross, The Art of Chill game.
All right, let's talk likes and dislikes. And I'd like to say there's a lot to like about this game.
I'm going to kick off with the theme, and I don't mean the Bob Ross theme. I don't know if I'd say I'm a huge Bob Ross fan or whatever. Everybody knows. Well, everybody knows who he is and likes him. He was a chill dude, but just the idea of mixing the paints and using certain brushes, and then you can practice your technique and get better, which gets you bonus points. And just thematically, from the easel, the paintings, the score meters, colors, everything is thematic to what you are doing. And it's a unique, interesting theme.
You got the where you mix the paint here. That's
which
your
is
player board.
Oh, when we love individual player boards, absolutely.
Which is kind of neat, and you can put your paint in the different areas. I like how they've incorporated the brushes into it. It's not just you're mixing paints, but on certain things like you're doing the happy trees, you need the little palette knife to do the, I don't know what you call it, the scraping that he does on there,
and drawing out or whatever. And then,
yep.
And I also like which kind of forces you a choice. Do I try to use this as a paint, or do I hold this one back because I don't have this brush and I'm going to need this brush for the next feature I'm planning on painting?
Yeah.
So having 2 things on one card gives you just another little bit of strategy or decisions that have to be made.
Overall, the components I think are good. I mean, it's the dice it's a painted, not the etched die, but
that's a dislike for me. Is I think over time it's made well enough, but I think this could wear off.
As far as the art, obviously it's Bob Ross, so the paintings that you're working on are his paintings. There's 30 of them, right?
I think there's 15 cards double-sided.
So I mean that's obviously great.
And the art snobs are going to be like, okay, Bob Ross was blah blah blah.
But it's a Bob Ross game.
But for your average person, I think some of them are pretty in their own unique way, and it's got that, like you said, that Bob Ross connection, which kind of makes them cool. Because I remember seeing him do this on PBS on his TV show, these paintings.
I love the easel. I think that's a nice little touch. The one thing, kind of a dislike, and we had discussed this as we were playing it, these cards are kind of thin. They're kind of a thin card stock, and when you slide it onto the easel, you have these little pegs that hold it in place, which is nice, so it's not going to fall off. But they're so tight that as you slide it in, I think you're going to nick up this card stock, as much as you play it. And
it could be a possibility. If you're really careful, I think you'll probably be okay. They're good enough. I'm gonna throw in the box insert even is nice and holds everything in there well, and the inside cover of the box, which I don't want to take because everything will fall out, but has like all of his art supplies lineup, just a picture of it inside the box,
like it's your like carrying case or something.
Completely unnecessary, but everything comes through.
It's got mini cards, which I think we've said many times we're not huge fans of. The quality of the cards is good, though. It's kind of got that, I don't know what you call it.
They're thin, but they do have the linen finish.
The linen finish,
they do have the textured finish. So it's a toss-up. The cards are okay quality.
The score tracker it's serviceable. I don't think there's anything special about it. It does what it needs to do to keep track of where you are as far as your score goes. There's a place for everything to go as far as cards, to mark off if you're the first to finish a feature on the painting.
How about gameplay-wise itself? What do you think of what are some likes about the gameplay?
Gameplay-wise, I mean, I think that goes hand in hand with the thematic part of it. It feels like you have to have the right paints to mix to make the color, and that's what's the great part. If you look at the colors that actually
we were talking about this,
for the features. Say you're doing there's always some happy trees, I think, in almost all of them. If you look at like the orange, green, and red in this painting, if you look at the trees in the painting, there's clearly some orange, some green, and some red in there. So
I actually looked at the colors he used when he painted it, and those are the same ones that you have to use, which is kind of cool.
So thematically, I think that works really, really well. It's kind of maybe a dislike. It's not really a dislike, but it feels kind of forced that you're racing against Bob Ross, because it feels almost antithetical to Bob Ross.
I would agree that's he was all about being relaxed and no rush. He was very laid back in his speed. But one thing that does do, and I kind of like, is we were playing a 2-player tonight, and we knocked out 3 games in a row. And it almost, because a lot of games don't play well with 2 players, unless they're specifically designed that way. And this one is 2 to 4, by the way. But with Bob Ross moving along, it's almost like you have a 3rd player. Now, he's not scoring, but if he gets to those features before you, you lose out on bonus points that you would have got if you had beat. So it's almost like having a 3rd player, which I think makes it a better 2-player game than it would have been without. So I see why they added that Bob Ross moving down the track thing. Another, gameplay-wise, I think it's the perfect length. Yeah. You can play, in fact, what time is it? You can play a game in about 20 to 40 minutes, depending on the number of players. So we'll say half hour is the average, and I think this is a perfect 30-minute game.
I think with 2 players, we probably knocked at least one out in 15 minutes. I mean, it's not...
It sets up quick enough that you don't feel like you spent way too much time setting up for such a short game. It's just right.
And and a like kind of goes along with the name of it. It is a very chill game. I mean, it's not a brain burner. No, and it's not super. I mean, it's competitive, but it's very. You're just playing along, trying to paint the picture. And if you don't finish that picture, or you don't do all the features on that picture, maybe you will on the next one. I mean, it's very.
I like a game though where you can enjoy each other's company and enjoy game night and actually talk to each other while still competing in a fun game. And it does that well.
And maybe maybe we weren't just using this right. A possible dislike, or maybe something I think is even really necessary for the game, is the technique cards. We didn't really use them much when we played them. I guess you could, if you're close to the end, you need a little boost in points on the score track
to get the last two
technique
points.
Card might help you, but otherwise I felt like I was struggling to get the colors and get the paintbrushes I need, that I didn't really have enough to waste on the technique cards. But
I suppose so. But I would say overall our likes far outweigh our dislikes. Yeah. I think we're in agreement on that. Next up is strategies. I'll start off. I found one good strategy is to not be afraid to waste one of your movements to clear the
I was just going to say that.
Art supplies. Because there have been times when you get 3 actions, and draw. I didn't get a single thing I needed.
Yeah, you can blind draw to your heart's content in this game and not get what you want.
So sometimes it's like 1, and then I get 4 cards out, and I can see the next 4 cards. So that is definitely helpful. Not all the time, don't get me wrong. I mean, there's a nice mixture of the paints and knives and brushes you need. But sometimes it's just best to clear and start fresh.
Yeah, I mean, if there's nothing out there you need, I several times did a blind draw for all 3 of my moves and did not get a single thing I was looking for.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So that's definitely an action that's, I think, I probably underutilized, obviously, and something I would...
One game, I think I did it 3 times. But I didn't feel like it was a wasted move, let's put it that way.
And along those same lines, sometimes it's worth it to just bite the bullet and spend the 2 action points for the wild card. You know, if you're if you're looking for a specific color, you have everything but that color, spend the 2 actions and take that guy. And that way you're
Absolutely.
not digging through the deck, you're not clearing it out completely. You have what you need and you can move on.
Probably an obvious statement, but do not underestimate the power of the bonus points. You know, beating Bob to one of the features and getting the 2 or 1 bonus point, whatever happens to be worth it, is nice. But if you're also the first person, you get another 2 bonus points. Mm-hmm. So you might get 4 points plus the 3 or 4 that the feature is worth.
Yeah, so if it's a 4-color feature,
you can get 8 points.
If you're the first one there and you beat Bob. So I mean that's a really, really big benefit. I mean, as far as technique or as strategy goes, it's you know, just building up. You're drawing for the right colors. Some of that's luck, just based on your draw.
How about this? Be careful mixing your colors, because once you have colors touching each other on this side, they're considered mixed. And so if I need orange to complete something that's like blue, green, orange, but I have orange and white on this side, blue, green on this side, I can't use that orange over here because I've already mixed my orange with the white on this side. Mm-hmm. So don't play cards until you're kind of sure you're ready to use them. Or don't accidentally mix them with one thing and then be like, oh crud, I need that for this other feature because I'm going to get more points if I go for that now.
And along those same lines, when you roll, which you do at the beginning of every turn, there are 3 Ross heads on there, which usually advance the track unless you draw a certain card. So if you're getting toward the end and you don't have everything you need to complete a feature, don't start laying things out, kind of like Brian said, because once you mix those colors, they're there for good. And if you end up having to clear off the track...
If Bob finishes and a new painting comes out and you've wasted half your palette mixing something that doesn't match anything on this new board, you just wasted those and you have to waste another action to clear them too.
And then one game I didn't do that, so I had things covering both of these and I had to waste 2 actions to clear it off. Another game, I saw that coming. Bob was only 2 from the end over here, and so instead of putting stuff out, I just drew cards. I
did that one time too. I built up so I had like 6 in my hand because there's no hand limit, which is nice.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna, I don't want to waste them and then have to waste 1 or 2 action points on the next painting.
I mean, like you said, since it's a somewhat lighter game, and because there's some luck, I don't know if there's a whole lot of strategy beyond just kind of watching where he is on the tracker, and then of course going for the bonus points and trying to finish certain things, aspects of the painting before your opponent.
And what I found, and this is probably another obvious, is even if there's a 4 feature and then a 3 and a 2, it's always tempting to go for the 4. But if you have everything to pull off the 2 right away or to pull off the 3 right away, do it. They're points, and you can knock them out, and then maybe you'll draw what you need for the other ones. And if you miss out on the bonus points, yeah, they can be a big help. But at the same time, there's one game I know I won against Brian because I hit all 3 features on a painting, even though he hit 2 of those features first and got the bonuses on them.
Yeah.
So it's put down what you have and work from that versus always trying to go for something where you may not have everything you need in there. And other than that, though, I think, like you said, it's a pretty straightforward game, and just kind of go with the flow. All right, let's talk reviews then. We do our scale from 1 to 10, 1 being terrible, 10 being amazing, 5 right in the middle being, I'd play it. May not be something I'd go out and buy right away, but it's still a pretty solid game. I'm actually going to give this game a...
I'm dying because I'm really curious what you think of this.
I think I'd probably go a 9 on it. I like it a lot.
Wow.
I do.
Are you kidding me?
No. I really like it.
This is up there with like Garden Dice, and I'm trying to think of the games you like. It's like that high.
I like it.
Wow.
I do. And part of it is it's everything we've talked about. It's got good components. It's got a cool theme. It pulls off the theme really well. It's a theme you wouldn't think it's going to be like...
I will not disagree there. It's a cool theme and it...
Painting? How the heck am I going to pull that off? And when I first saw it, I saw that you're going to have to try to... You're going to paint along with Bob Ross. I'm like, how are you going to do that? But it makes sense. You're mixing the colors. You're using the right brushes. And really, there's nothing broken about it. I mean, as far as playing through it, the rules are clear. It plays quickly. It's easy to learn. I think you can get a lot of, it's one of those lighter games where you could maybe, with the Bob Ross theme, pull in some people that may not otherwise play a game like this.
I can see that.
I really like it. There's very little I can find wrong with it. And that's why it's that high. That's why it's a 9 for me.
Wow. I was like, proud of my. Now I feel like I'm like insulting it, even though my review is a solid 7.
7. Really?
Well, if we say 5 is it's okay,
Right,
I think
right.
a 6 is pretty good. A 7 is good. It is a good game. In fact,
Why do you hate it so much?
Yeah. So why are you hating on it? I'm going to say this is probably going to be the surprise game of the year. Like, I think this is going to be the one that a lot of people...
Out of 7.
Which is a very good rating. But I think a lot of people... And that's why I did an unboxing video you can go watch. Because I was shocked by how nice the components were. I was surprised that they actually put something... I thought they were just cashing in. I mean, when you go to Target, they have this cheesy little end cap with some happy... They have a little chia pet of Bob Ross's head and some T-shirts and this game.
And look at that cover, too. I mean, come on.
But I had heard some rumblings that it was kind of cool. And so I kind of bought it mostly sight unseen. And I was like, no, this is really a good-looking game. And it's thematic, and why not? And so I did the unboxing video, and I think it's a good game. Now, okay, so why is it a 7? Why am I holding it back? A couple of things. Like I said, the component quality is hit or miss. Overall, it's pretty solid. The card quality is kind of weak, and being as the majority of the gameplay is with the cards, you handle them a lot. They could be nicer.
You sleeve everything, though. Once you sleeve these...
That's true. The black backgrounds and the black borders are going to show nicks until I sleeve it.
Yeah.
This board's warping already a little bit, which is a little disappointing. These, thank goodness, are not. And, I don't know, maybe... I feel like there are always choices to make. There are always good choices, but maybe a little more variety to the gameplay. I don't know if you could even release an expansion for this. I don't know how that would work.
More paintings.
Yeah, more. All you need is more Afro, more Bob Ross, and it's good. Again, the die I don't think is going to hold up really well, but I do like it a lot. It is a very good game. I'm almost talking myself up. Maybe I should bump my review up. It's like now that I'm talking, it's like maybe it's better than a 7.
You know what would have made it higher for you? If it came with the first player Afro. The starting player gets I'm just...
on the nose. But no, there's just a few little things, and the game length is, it can vary a lot. I would say on average you get through 1 and you'll finish the game with the second painting. But we have gone on to a third. Now, I'm not saying I ever felt like the game dragged on. By no means. But some of the games felt a little too short. Like, it was, it's over already? Darn it. I was just ready to lay the smack down and win it myself or whatever. But overall, it's pretty solid.
Well, so Brian hated...
So we averaged to an 8, which is a very good review. See, there you go.
There you go. Obviously, we're pretty big on Bob Ross here. I think it's a surprise game for both of us.
Absolutely.
And recommend for $25.
Full MSRP. It's only available at Target, so maybe through coupons they occasionally have sales. You might be able to find it, but you're probably going to end up paying $25 for this. But I think that is a fair price for sure.
It's a good deal. So keep watching and check back next week to see what we've been playing.